Hey guys,
Hello,
I'm Haley,
I'm Ashley.
and this is What the Podcast. This is episode 3, you guys. We're 3 episodes in. We did it. Look at us here. Who would have thought?
Hundo P.
Hundo P. You guys, we are no longer laying on the floor.
I know, it's so exciting.
Ashley just completely renovated the spare bedroom in her house, and it is the podcast room.
It's nice.
It is so awesome.
All black.
It's the walls are all black.
They wouldn't let me paint the trim black. They're like, you can't go back if you go black.
I think that's
on
true.
the trim.
It looks really, really good. Eventually, we will move to video.
Yes. We got a ring light.
We got a ring light, you guys.
It's awesome for selfies. Done did that today.
Yeah. And a table.
Yes, shout out.
We've got all of our equipment on the table. Thank you to everybody who contributed.
Yes,
Seriously,
our angels.
Our angels. Thank you guys. Well, Ashley, what is episode 3 about?
So we're going to be talking about the Murdaugh family.
Whoop, whoop.
Maybe we shouldn't be excited
Maybe,
because
no.
there's murder involved, but
Murder.
I think it's well deserved. So, I mean, maybe not Maggie, but
No, I mean, the topic itself has been widely covered and talked about.
When I said deserve, I meant Paul, and that's about it. The other people that died do not deserve it, but Paul, I feel bad. He shouldn't have died, but
nobody deserves to be murdered like that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I take it back.
Unless you're like just a really, really bad person.
I think he had some really bad qualities.
He did. He was a kid.
Debatable.
But they were like character flaws.
Yes.
At that point.
But it could go back to his parents and how they raised him. You are how you're raised, pretty much.
Yeah.
Some people change, but
let's talk about why Paul was so bad.
Okay. Are we going to start off with that, or what led us to this?
Let's start with what led us to that.
Okay. So what led us to this was Paul Murdaugh, Paul.
Which I didn't know, sidebar, I did not know that his nickname was Paul.
It's Paul too. Like Paul, like in my accent, I can't say it right,
No,
but
it's
Paul, P-A-W.
Paul.
No, it's P-A-W.
It's Paul?
Yeah,
Like
Paul.
somebody's grandpa?
Yeah, like, yes, it's Paul, like P-A-W. Because I watched an interview today and it was talking about it and he had it spelled out and it was P-A-W, P-A-W. And I've always said Paul, like with an L.
You know, when I was reading over the notes that we did for this episode, I noticed that in a couple of them, you put Paul, and I was like, is this just like did you put a typo? And then I kept reading the sentences, and I was like, no, this was intentional.
Yeah. Because in the beginning, I thought it was P-A-U-L, but it's actually P-A-W.
Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Okay,
I still say it with the L. I can't not. Paul. So in this, I'm going to call him Paul.
Okay. It's fitting.
So Meredith. No, her name's not Meredith. It's Margaret. Margaret, a.k.a. Maggie, a.k.a. Mags.
Yes.
Is what he calls her.
Mags.
They both were murdered.
Yeah. By?
We don't know who, but he was, well, technically, the system said he's guilty. So
yeah,
when we talk about it, we have to say he's the murderer because
there's still speculation. It's still very up in the air, but per the trial,
yes,
he was found guilty
of
several counts of crime. I mean,
yeah,
he was found guilty.
He hasn't been tried yet for the other crimes he committed. Those are coming, I think, this summer. So he still hasn't been tried yet. I watched a 2020 episode today on it.
I didn't know they had a 2020 episode out.
Yes. They have 2. I didn't watch the first one. I watched the second one. Because I feel like I've consumed so much of this that I know everything about it.
Okay. That's good. Well, Alec Murdaugh, which...
He spells it Alex, so he needs to not that he's going to listen to this, but...
Which one is it, Alec?
Alec. I went to school with an Alec, but his name was A-L-E-C.
Well, sure. That's how
you say it. Yeah. Or spell it.
But his is spelled Alex, but it's pronounced Alec.
It's weird.
It is weird. Maybe it's a North Carolina thing.
He's South Carolina.
South Carolina thing.
Good old South. Me and James had this huge debate if South Carolina is actually considered the South.
What do you think?
I don't think so.
conclusion?
I think it's like a northern South. Like,
Yeah.
To me, you might as well be a Yankee if you're that high up in the United States. And James was like, don't you dare go on there and say that. And I was like, I'm being serious. Like, I don't think they're Southern. Like,
I don't
unless
think
you're
that-
from Alabama or Arkansas or
most
good old
people don't-
Texas.
But you know what? I think that most people don't consider Arkansas part of the South, which makes
That's crazy to
zero
me.
sense to me because we're in the same belt.
We're just like Alabama. We love our cousins. Arkansas is known for that. And so is Alabama.
Well, too much.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, so Alec Murdaugh is this widely known in their city in which they live, which I mean maybe just all in South Carolina, but he is this
Big shot.
big shot lawyer, attorney,
Yeah. Prosecutor. He was a prosecutor or something.
something like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna call him a lawyer.
Yeah.
He may
Lawyer.
A lawyer,
A lawyer. Lawyer.
lawyer,
I don't know.
same diff.
It's our accents. Can't get it right.
Can't get it right. That was the short I sound, Ashley. Anyway, he's this big shot lawyer, and he is, I almost said widely respected, but I don't think that I should, because in a lot of the videos that I watched
Mm-hmm.
of people who are local to where they live, everybody kind of knows if you're a Murdaugh, you're getting away with sketchy stuff.
Yeah. I think he had more fear than respect
Yeah,
in
I
that
think so.
city.
I think so. But
Or
I
in
think
that
it's-
county. It was the whole county. It wasn't even just the
Yeah.
city. It was the whole county.
Just because people knew that really when it comes down to it is his son Paul.
Paul.
They've got two sons, Buster.
Oh, I hate Buster.
What's his real name?
I think that's his real name. I think that's his government name.
Is it?
I don't know.
You guys, I'm sorry.
I'm
Anyway,
pretty sure it is.
Buster.
Because
is the
in court,
oldest,
because normally in court, they go by like your government name.
but they refer to him as Buster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it is Buster. Because
Okay.
when he said Paul, they made him clarify his real name
Okay.
in the trial.
But then
So
when he said Buster, they were just like,
yeah,
"Oh, Buster Murdaugh." Isn't that a Southern name?
I hate Buster.
Buster-
He gives me the vibes.
He gives me the creeps, big time.
Like, if it wasn't for the red hair, I would say Buster was his child and Paul was not.
You think
Like,
so?
I think he stands out in that family. And I'm like, Max got something explaining to do.
Buster is scary.
Buster
to
looks
me.
like a daddy.
Buster is scary to me because throughout this whole thing, he has shown like zero emotion.
Yes. And I'm like, I wouldn't want to be in a room alone with him. Like,
Me
he
either.
scares me.
He
Like,
scares me too.
just his looks on his
His
face.
tendencies, like his body language.
Yes. And then, like, the stories, I'm just like,
yeah, I know. Well, so his sons, Buster, which is the oldest, and Paul Murdaugh is the younger. And they're just a few years apart. But Paul would often find himself in some trouble.
yes.
And everybody in that county, period,
Mm-hmm.
knew that he was going to get out of it because of who his daddy was, essentially. But that being said, there was a incident where Paul could not find his way out of it. And
Yeah.
this was the boat accident.
So sad.
It is so sad.
The videos on it,
I know.
just heartbreaking.
It is very sad.
I fell in love with Anthony.
I know.
I really liked Anthony. It's like a reality show where I'm like, oh, I really like that character,
I
but it's
know.
real life.
But it's because you can tell that he's got good character
Mm-hmm.
and he,
And he's got good parents. You can tell by the
Yes.
interviews with his parents.
yes, all of their parents seem like good people.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's why I think that's why it
It's
makes
my 100% this episode.
she gets one and then she's cut off, y'all.
Yeah.
No, you can tell that they're good people, and that's why I think it makes it so sad to watch because
Mhm.
they've been done wrong, especially. And we're kind of skipping around. We'll get into it, but especially the family of Gloria.
Yes.
I felt for her kids and her siblings so.
Can I say
hard.
one thing?
Say
And
it.
I'm in a mood, I guess, where I'm not feeling like, I don't know. I feel bad about like people dying. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But in the documentary, it was funny because her son, she was in ICU, right, for 21 days, Gloria, before she died.
Mm-hmm.
So sad. I know I don't sound like it's sad, but it is sad.
It is sad.
And he was like, I sat down next to her and I asked her, Mom, what happened? And she didn't answer me. And I'm thinking, boy, she is in the ICU and is unconscious. Like,
she's been here for 21 days.
Yes. Like, she's not awake. I don't think she woke up at all. And the way he just said it, his face dropped and he was like, and she didn't answer me. And literally, I've seen it 3 times in 3 different episodes. And I'm thinking, did you think she was just going to wake up and answer?
Maybe it's just the shock.
I know what he meant. I know what he meant, but I can't help but my first thought was like,
I don't think that she was going to be answering.
No.
But isn't that heartbreaking, though, that the one person that they knew they could get the true account from would be Gloria.
Mm-hmm.
And here she is just laying in this ICU, helpless.
They are talking about exhuming. Is that the word? Exhuming her body? I did
see an article where I think in like June or something, they were like, because of all of the other cases that are going on, they're going to exhume her body. Because what happened was, essentially Gloria is the Murdaugh family housekeeper, and she had been for many, many years. Paul, the troublemaker child of Alec, was extremely close with Gloria. I would go as far as to say he was like a second mom. He was super comfortable around her. And in the docuseries that Netflix put out about all of this, Paul's ex-girlfriend was saying that he was just so affected by her death. And what happened is she, quote unquote, fell down the steps because of the family dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe this one bit.
I don't either. And see, I saw different documentaries because I watched, like, I'm telling you, like 100. One was like Alec was never there. Yeah. It was just Maggie and this guy named like Rue or something with an R, I think. I don't remember his name. He's not important. But he was the one on the phone call that was getting snappy with the dispatchers saying, me and James were watching this. And I thought it was really unprofessional of the dispatcher to be like, as someone that works in customer care, I told James, I was like, obviously they don't work in customer care because they can say whatever they want as dispatchers. Because in the recording, she's like,
can they?
Pretty much, I would think. Because in this recording,
I would be scared though because it's recorded. They're all recorded.
Yes, and they all get published if like
something comes out like this.
Yes, and so I told him, I said, she has no customer service because the dispatcher was like asking questions and the guy was like, will you stop asking her questions? And she said, sir, it's not going to make them go any faster if you don't answer my questions because you don't answer my questions or something like that. Yes. And I was like, dang, if I would have done that at my job, I'd have gotten fired.
For real. I see both sides of it, but it really like made me more angry which I thought at first, and this sounds kind of bad because it's I guess a man's voice. I thought it was Maggie saying, can you stop asking all these questions?
Yeah, it was a dude.
Apparently.
I thought it was like the guy that works around their house because it wasn't Alec from what I understood.
No.
And he said in interviews he was not there.
Alec has a very distinct voice.
Mm-hmm. But then I rewatched it back today and I was like, well, there is another voice there that does sound like Alec. But I was just like, he's saying he wasn't there, that the ambulance said that he wasn't there. So
yeah, but can you think of another time he said that he wasn't there?
I know.
And he was.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh. But anyway,
she fell down the stairs.
She fell down the stairs.
And hit her head. On bricks, I think, on like concrete bricks or something.
Leading up to the front of their house.
And they were like, how does a 46-year-old or however old she was, I just made that number up.
She was like in her 50s.
Yeah. How does someone completely die from just falling and hitting their head down like 4 steps?
Exactly.
It's just not. But do we think though, like Maggie hit her upside the head? Like,
well, leading up to this, Gloria had found out this is when Alec's opioid addiction kind of started, I guess. And he had been self-medicating.
Mm-hmm. And she found out.
Yes, she found the pills taped up underneath one of the beds. And she was, to my understanding, was trying to talk him out of continuing this path. Like, she was like, this is not good for you. And then she dies.
Well, I saw too where she was threatening to tell Maggie, but I'm pretty sure Maggie knew about it.
Do you think, was this around the time that it was speculated that she was visiting
The lawyer?
divorce? Yeah.
No, I think that was
attorneys?
after.
Oh, okay.
Because Gloria was first. That was the first incident.
Yeah.
So I just don't know the motive there other than but if Alec was there, which some people said he was,
Yeah.
I can understand it because he straight up killed her or like he hit her or something.
Yeah.
Because like he didn't want his secret to be out.
Right.
However,
and we've kind of seen a pattern in that. Him, in my opinion, which there are possible motives. I was really struggling when we were doing the research for this to find a motive for him to kill his wife and son.
In all of it.
In all of it.
The motive, I can understand insurance, like
The
money.
insurance fraud, yeah.
But he didn't have insurance policies on his wife and kid.
No.
At least from what I read, they didn't. They had none. The only person they had one on was him.
Which, isn't that kind of crazy?
I don't know. James has an insurance policy on me, and I have one on him. So, I mean, I would think you would want it. We have one on Giacomo.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we have it on all three of us because if something happens, funerals are expensive.
They are expensive.
It's not like a lot of money by any means, but it's enough for it would cover a funeral expense.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good.
Way to get personal. Here's my life story. Here's my finances, guys.
But anyway, what were we talking? Why did I go into the Gloria thing? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but
we'll listen back and figure out after we're done recording. But anyway, so she dies in the ICU, and Alec has told, or apparently had told, Gloria's kids, I'm going to file an insurance claim with my insurance company and make sure that you guys get.
So he's wanting them to sue him, pretty much.
Pretty much. That way they can get money.
Yeah, claim it on his house insurance and stuff.
Ultimately, though, he's telling them it's still in the works, like they're still working on the claim. All the while, he had received this money from this claim.
Like $4.3 million or something.
It was in the scopes of a few million, and never gave any of it to her kids or her family. He kept it. And that is a pattern that we've seen throughout this case of the money. In my opinion, it all came down to the money because things were popping off before the death of Maggie and Paul. But once his firm got involved, and we'll talk about that too, but once his firm kind of saw the pattern, that's when things really hit the fan.
The whole thing is just, I didn't know this until, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but until today I was watching the 2020 thing, and they said that the day of Paul and Maggie's murder, the day of, the firm confronted him.
Yes.
The day of.
And
so that's to me the motive. I mean, that's got to be.
Literally, I wrote down right here in my papers, like we're research analysts. I wrote down, let's see. Where is it? Oh, okay. Possible motive. Murdaugh Family Law Firm notices that $729,000 in legal fees that were awarded to the firm went missing. That settlement was taken by Alex, and the conversation between the firm, Alex's family law firm that's been around for
4 generations.
Yeah. His family law firm confronts him, and then later that day, his wife and his son are murdered.
Which I still don't understand it though. Like,
I
don't know.
He got himself into so much financial trouble.
That he's just too scared to tell his family?
I think that his reputation and his crimes of basically embezzlement, I guess. I think his fear of that was worth him killing his son and his wife as a distraction.
Yeah, because that is what they said in the trial, that it was a distraction. And I was just, that's the only thing it could be, really. Now, the other stuff he does, I get. Now, I guess since Buster wasn't there, like at the end of the day, if Buster was even in like a mile radius, I would have said Buster did it. But
Buster, which in the videos that
he gives
I
me killer
watch,
vibes.
he is so creepy, y'all. You gotta go look up.
Just look at a photo.
No, I mean, yeah, but also in the videos of like the trial happening where he's like sitting there watching, his dad on the stand, he's just emotionless.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's
He even
because,
smiles at one point.
I know, but he was like training, I guess, to be part of the family law firm.
Mm-hmm. He went to school.
So I don't know if that's just him practicing what he's been learning to kind of have a good poker face in these kind of situations.
Well, did he graduate with his law degree? Because I saw that he got kicked out of school at one point for plagiarism.
Yeah. He got, was it in college?
I wonder if it was his first year before, like his years
Maybe.
before law school. Because you go to college and then law school, right?
But
I think that's how that works.
You know what is kind of perplexing to me?
Tell me.
If he got kicked out of college, even as a freshman, for plagiarism, which is a huge deal in college.
They accept him in the law. Is that what you're about to say? Law school?
What a coincidence that he was able to be admitted into law school.
It's the name. Hampton County. It's the name.
I know.
I don't know where he went to school at, but
I don't know. Anybody would be able to see that though. That record that he got
kicked out.
Yeah. So, but what I also thought was interesting, since we're kind of on the aspect of the money and possibly Alex.
We're literally going in like 30 different directions, but
you guys are going to have to
what you signed up for.
Know the basis of the case, but we'll
cover it.
We'll cover it. But what I also thought was interesting was Alec, he was set. There was they I guess called a hearing, because, what's her name? Morgan's family was suing for, is restitution the right word? Alimony? I don't know.
No, you're talking about Mallory. Yeah, Mallory's family was suing.
Mallory's family was suing, and Morgan and Miley's family got in on it too.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Okay, well,
it could have been. I don't know.
I know for sure that Mallory's family was suing. Alec had said that he did not. Basically, he was broke. He could not pay. It was $10 million. I mean, for stress. I mean, the stress of losing their daughter at the hands of his son. Anyway, they were going to have this hearing, and he had to prove through his financial records that he could not pay this. I don't know if alimony is the technical term, but this money. And because he had been allegedly embezzling these funds from his family law firm, you think that he wants to get up on that stand and show his financial track of where he's been taking this money?
Well, to follow on that, in the trial, Mallory's family's attorney got on the stand and said that we were going to take Alec's name off of the lawsuit, not go after Alec because he lost his son and wife, and that's unfair. So they were just going to drop it. They were still going to go after like the family itself, like as like, I don't know.
An entity or something?
So, yeah, but they were going to take Alec's name off of it.
Why would they do that?
Because they felt bad, because his Mallory's mom in an interview says that, because someone asked her, is this justice for you? They asked if it was justice, and she said, no, it's not.
Yeah.
She said, I would never want that for somebody. That is not justice to me.
It breaks my heart that such terrible things happen to, and you can tell they're good people.
The poor dad, when he lost it, I was like,
I could barely hold it together.
It makes me never want to go on a boat.
Yeah, first the Titanic, now this. I'm sorry.
First the Titanic.
Anyway, so those, in my mind, the financial crimes of Alec, and I mean, yeah, the financial crimes of Alec, that's the only thing that I could see there'd be a possible motive. I can't see anything else.
Right. So let's like round it back to Mallory's thing, since we're talking about Mallory.
Yes.
So what had happened was,
so
Okay, so there's Mallory, Morgan, and
Miley.
And then there's Connor, Anthony, and Paul.
Yes.
So Paul and Morgan are dating. Anthony and Mallory are dating. And Connor and Miley are dating.
Correct. And they're a friend group. They're kind of like an...
Yes, Connor and Anthony are cousins.
Yes.
But they're just a 6-person friend group. Mm-hmm. And they were like, let's go out to this oyster roast. I don't know what the heck that is. I've
like
never heard that.
For people in South Carolina.
See, they're Northerns. They don't.
Oysters?
Yeah. I don't get it. If you were in the South, this would be crawfish. Yeah.
This is mudbug land.
No. I've never eaten a crawfish a day in my life.
We're literally in Arkansas. Okay.
Like we're in Louisiana or something.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, so they go to this, they're drinking, which people reported saying that they were not drinking there. They just showed up with a White Claw in their hands. And a beer. And I'm like, okay, no, they were partying hard.
I can't foresee that a group of 6 late teens are going to pull up to an oyster roast and not drink.
And then there's footage of, that's who's suing. I think Mallory's or Morgan's family is suing that gas station for selling the alcohol to Paul.
Oh, are they?
I think so. I think that's what I heard or what I listened to. Well, I guess that's heard, but that's what I heard is that because he was using Buster's ID, which Buster's like 6 something. Paul's like 5'10".
Yeah.
And Buster's a redhead, difference. Like a really bright redhead. Like they don't look alike.
No.
And so anyway, and you can see him in the video walking out of the gas station holding up the alcohol. Like, yeah, I did it.
We got it.
And so I think the families are suing that gas station.
Okay.
And so there's that. So they went to this oyster roast or whatever it's called. Then then Paul wanted to go to the bar and get alcohol and do shots and stuff like that. And everybody was like, no, I don't want to go. Of course, they all peer pressure. They all went.
Yep.
Got a little more toasty. And then you see that video, their final video where they're walking back to the boat.
On the dock to the boat.
Yes. Mallory and Anthony look happy. They're all lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
Miley and Connor, I don't know why they're together. They don't have the chemistry for me, but whatever. And then Paul and Morgan looks pissed. You could tell she does not want to be there.
The body language between the two when they're walking, they're separated. Mm-hmm. Paul is like in the front. He's like ready to get on that boat. But they had been telling him, you do not need to drive this boat because he was sloshed. They were like, do not drive this boat. But again, peer pressure. So they get on the boat. Mm-hmm. He's driving all reckless. And then they end up, I don't know if I'm going too fast in it, but
I think we should add in to add to his character, Paul's character.
Okay.
I wrote this down that in the middle, this kind of pissed me off, but in the middle of the ride, he lets go of the wheel. He walks over because Morgan's complaining. She's like, stop, whatever. She's yelling at him. Mm-hmm. And he said, what did he say? Did I write that part down? He's pretty much said, shut up, you effing whore.
Oh my gosh.
Or something like that. Something vulgar.
Yeah.
And then slapped her across the face.
He did slap her.
Yeah, he straight up slapped her across the face. And what made me mad was that all those people, all 4 other people on that boat sat there and did nothing about Anthony. I would have pushed Paul off the boat.
Yeah.
I'd have been like, put your hands on her again. Like if me and James are out and he saw a man slap a woman, James would come unglued. He'd be like, absolutely nay.
Rightfully so.
But like in a group of like 6 and you're telling me a guy slapped a chick across the face and you're all just going to sit there?
I think not.
We're mad about him driving? No, I'd be more mad right now about him. If y'all would have pushed him off the boat, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Amen. Preach it.
It just makes me so mad. And he slaps her and then she just sits there and cries about it, which understandable.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to, then they try to take the wheel and from him, Connor does. And then he's like, no one's going to drive my effing boat.
And he's like screaming at everybody. He's like, get your hands off my wheel.
Yes. And then they hit that, what's it called? Not a pillar. It's a pillar, but it's like, some documentaries say they hit the actual bridge itself, like the pillar of the bridge. But I saw 2 today that was like a pillar that was not attached to the bridge. It was just in front, like a
It's just like a big concrete
they just
thing in front of the
whacked
bridge.
it hard. Went right
hard
into
enough that they could not find Mallory.
Anthony and Mallory went in the water. Everybody else stayed on the boat.
Yeah.
And Mallory and Anthony went into the water, which the whole thing is like crazy to me that Anthony came right back up.
I know. I did see and I think that it was on that Netflix that little special 3-part series about it. But they had somebody look at where their positions were on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense as to how some of them
got
flew
knocked off. Yeah.
And some didn't. Yeah. Which I highly recommend you guys watch that if you haven't. It's a 3-part miniseries on
And they
Netflix.
go out of order like we do too. They bounce around that whole series because I was very confused on why they were leaving so much stuff out. But then like you'd get in the 3rd episode and they put the first part in instead
Link it
of
all together.
Yeah, it was just, it's confusing like we are being, but
interesting.
It is interesting. The whole family's just, but anyway, so they get in this boat accident. Mallory goes in the water. Anthony goes in the water. Connor hits his face on the boat and he dislocates his jaw. And Morgan gets some cuts on her hands, like her skin gets peeled up a little bit on her hand. And then I think Miley's okay. I didn't read anything about Miley.
There wasn't no like damage to her, I don't think.
Yeah. And so Anthony comes up out of the water and he's screaming for Mallory. They're all M's.
They're all
so
M's,
it's so
you guys.
confusing.
I'm so sorry.
So Mallory's like, they cannot find her. It's completely dark. Nobody can see her or hear her or anything like that. And so then Connor dials 911. And in the recording, you can hear them screaming in the background for Mallory. Mm-hmm. And it's just...
They actually had to... it took 4 days, didn't it?
8.
8 days.
8.
For them to
It was the 8th day that they found her.
Oh my gosh.
Some reports, that's how when I was reading articles, I knew were wrong because some would say it took 3 days. And then I saw some that said 5. But if you actually look at the reports and stuff, it says 8 days. They say a week. It took a week, but it was actually full. They found her on the 8th day.
Oh my gosh. And of course, at that point, she was deceased.
Mm-hmm.
And
what broke my heart is when Anthony's family was like, Anthony never left. Every single day he was down there and he wouldn't leave. But so the cops come. They call 911 and the cops come. Mm-hmm. And Anthony, you can tell, is drunk.
Yeah.
Because he's screaming. Paul apparently is smiling at this point. And Anthony is yelling at Paul, "You're going to go to effing hell," and all this stuff. "You better wipe that smile off your face," like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the officers were trying to calm Anthony down. And Anthony's like, "Do you know who Alec Murdaugh is?" And they're like, "Yeah, we know the name." And then his famous line of "good luck." He was like, "That's his son. Good luck."
Oh my gosh. And he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
And as a wife of a police officer, I'm going to say this.
Say it.
Explain to me how, and this is from me having a conversation with James, explain to me how not one person did a sobriety or a field test or whatever it's called on him.
Yeah.
Like on any of them. Because they didn't know who the driver was at first because everyone was saying, or not everyone, Paul was saying it was Connor.
Yeah.
And Paul, the ambulance, paramedics and the officers, everybody said that he was being belligerent. Like he wouldn't sit still. He wouldn't get checked out.
He
was causing a fight.
Yes.
And why did no one do any test on him?
These are all underage kids, by the way.
Yes. And then 2 hours later, then they take his blood at the hospital because the hospital has to. And it was 3 times the legal limit 2 hours later.
Oh my gosh. So this is kind of the beginning of the end, essentially. Everybody's really torn up that Mallory has passed. I mean, this is the result of drunk driving, essentially. But Paul, I mean, even from the time that they were there on the scene, didn't own up to it.
Mm-hmm. So time passes. And do you know what's next on the timeline after that happened? Well, I want to add too is they went to the hospital and Alec and his Randolph, the grandfather, both showed up to the hospital. And I saw in the trial thing, they had their badges on for a solicitor or something. I don't know what that is. I should have Googled it before this, but I have no idea what that is. But you get a badge for it. And they showed up, and you can see in the image their badges attached to their hips. And then they're trying to go to each room saying, shut up, pretty much. Don't say who was driving. I'm your attorney now. And Morgan told the nurse, she was like, get him away from me. Like, he's not allowed in my room. Mm-hmm. And apparently the nurses came out and said, too, that they weren't allowed to say this. I guess they're not supposed to. But they were like, they told Morgan's mom, you need to get him away from her.
Yeah.
Because she's not safe.
There's video footage of Alec and Randolph walking up and down the halls of the hospital, and you can tell that they are just scheming, like trying to keep everybody keep their mouths shut, because they don't want anything being said until they can, I guess, clear Paul's name is what I'm thinking.
Yes. I almost said 100%, but yes, Hundo P. They just didn't want Paul in trouble. And so, so then before we jump even further, Connor's dad, Alec reached out to Connor's dad, and they had a secret meeting, and Alec was like, choose the room you want. This was at their firm.
Yes.
Choose the room you want. I turned my phone off. You're not being set up here.
Very
like,
obviously trying to make him feel comfortable.
Set up. And he was like, pretty much saying like Connor was driving, and everybody, which really upsets me that it was even into question. Like, the detectives in the interviews and stuff were like, well, we don't know who was driving because everyone's saying something different. No, 5 out of the 6 people were saying who was driving.
Yes.
So there should be no question about it. So if I get in a car accident and I got another person in the passenger seat and I'm drinking and driving and I get in a car accident and I was like, no, she was driving, you're going to go for my word with it? No.
Absolutely.
I think because of his name, the officers were just really sorry, really, Sled, but you need to get it together.
Amen. You can so tell that the authority there is really walking on eggshells to try, and they don't want to say the wrong thing around him, or they don't want to say something that might be potentially bad for them, I'm sure.
And I kind of get it, because like, when you're low on the food chain, like, I get that you don't want to cause problems, so you don't get like effed off. So I do get it, but
also, where is the justice in this system?
Yes, and like your character, like, that says a lot about you when you just sit there and like bend over and take it.
Yeah, 100%.
And it just, like, I would be upset if like my spouse came home and he was telling me about his day and he didn't stand up for himself or something. Like,
the whole idea is to serve and protect.
Yes. And I'm so pro police. Like, I shout out to the LEOs out there and love you. But I just, Sled,
not,
nay.
That's not it.
Nope.
Nay. Major.
Through the whole thing. Until the murders of Paul and Maggie.
Yes.
They did better.
They did do better. And I think it was noticed by people that live in that county as well. Because once again, they've, kind of gotten away with. Paul never had any repercussion for that. The boat accident.
Maybe I need to eat my words, because in the boating accident, did Sled even take over? I need to look it up. I wonder if it was either their county or Sled took it over. I want to say the county was there first for the boating accident.
I believe so.
Because that's when they were like, Alec, because Sled is like our state police.
Yes.
So like, Jane, like, someone from North Arkansas is not going to know who my husband is.
Right. Because
it's huge. Like, it's 1 million people. So Sled doesn't know Alec like that, I don't think. So maybe I should eat my words in the sense of saying that they messed up. It could have been the county, because they might have been scared because it's political.
I think the county definitely was scared.
Because the Murdaughs own the county. They were like the head honchos of the county. They were the law. That's what it says in all the documentaries. They are the law. They might have not been police officers, but they were the law.
Look at their law firm.
It takes up half the city.
Yeah.
It's like a literal block.
Yeah. So Alec's name was highly, highly regarded as, again, I don't know that I want to say respected by some, maybe, but everybody in town knows who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I think they were more feared than
negative
anything.
connotation. Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so
Absolutely.
let's go to the night of June 7th. I think that's the day.
June
Can I be wrong?
7th.
Hold on, I'm pretty sure it
Let's
is.
take a looky-loo. June the 7th, 2021. Look at you, Ashley.
I know.
June the 7th is when the 911 call comes in.
At 10:07.
Yes. The story goes that Alec had been visiting his mother, who was suffering Alzheimer's or dementia.
She's a dementia patient, I think. I
That's
could be wrong.
Alzheimer's disease.
Oh, just kidding.
Okay. I mean, kind of
Close
same.
enough.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No disrespect.
I know so many people with both, so
You guys were sorry, okay?
yeah, we're not medical professionals. Like,
Clearly.
I'd have to WebMD this.
Let me take a quick look on Mayo
Watch a couple
Clinic.
episodes of Grey's. I don't know.
So, anywho, the 911 call that comes through the night of June 7th, Alec calls in frantic that because he has found his wife Maggie and his son Paul dead, laying on the ground. They live on this large estate. So
Mhm.
this beautiful house, and they've got these dog kennels. They had a ton of dogs.
That was made out of an airplane hangar.
Yes, correct.
So
Yes.
it's like if you think of an airplane hangar, that's what it looks like.
Yes. And so Alec had just been coming back from visiting his mom and kind of taking care of her. His dad Randolph was currently at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So he was being treated there. So he comes back home and finds his wife and son dead on the ground and calls 911. So he calls 911. He's on the phone with his dispatcher. He's frantic. You can hear it in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, hey, don't touch them. And he's like, I already did. I tried to, flip them over to see if I could check a pulse. And then
Which
the
is
police
important.
arrive. Yes, it is important. The police arrive and they kind of, after a few hours later, he kind of calms down a bit and they take a statement from him.
Mm-hmm. His first interview.
Yes. And this was videoed as well. It started raining outside, so they moved it inside of a car.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of walked them through his day. So he had gone to work. He came home. They all had dinner together. Maggie had an appointment in Charleston, like a doctor's appointment. But he, Paul, and Maggie were all home. They had dinner together. And then Maggie and Paul went out to check on the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Alec, said that he took a little nap on the couch, about 30 minutes or so. And then he decided to go check on his mom almost immediately after waking up. So he calls Maggie. She doesn't answer. He said she's usually pretty good about answering, but he didn't think too much of it. So he texts her and tells her, hey, I'm going to go check on mom.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves, and then he's, with his mom. Maggie never texts him back. So he said that was a little bit unusual because she's usually pretty good about at least texting back. And then he comes home.
And he said he was gone for about an hour and a half.
Yes. So he was gone for about an hour and a half. He comes back home, and then there he sees they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
I want to note that the clothes that he was wearing were different from the clothes that he had on in a previous Snapchat video that Paul had taken.
Mm-hmm. Because he's wearing like a polo and slacks
Yes,
or
like,
something.
like work clothes,
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't that not normal. I mean, I change when I get home from work too, except for the fact that the clothes that he wore to work were different from that dress shirt and pants that were in that Snapchat video. So he gets home from work, changes into a button-down shirt and some khakis, and then changes again into a shirt and shorts.
And in the trial or his testimony, he said that he did that because it was hot and sweaty outside. So he went inside and took a shower.
I saw that too, where he said he was taking some medication that made him
sweat
a little bit
the
more.
drugs. Yeah. And so, but he never mentioned a shower. And I feel like that's important.
Where are these details coming from? Yeah. So when he's having this interview in the car with the police and Sled at this point, it was Sled.
In that one, it was.
Yeah, in the car. You can tell it's been a couple hours, so he's kind of trying to cooperate and give them as much detail as he can. And then he just completely breaks down.
And then you see the detectives who put their hands on his shoulders, and they're like, "It's okay." And I'm like, I get they're trying to be comforting, but
at the same time,
is that appropriate?
I don't know. I don't know.
But at that point, they didn't think it was him.
No.
So, I mean, I get it. They're humans, and this grown man is
to watch somebody who just
they just saw like 2 dead bodies.
Yes,
and they were not in good condition.
No, I mean, and Alec even says in the interview with Sled in the car, he said they did my boy so wrong, and this is where he really breaks down because he said that you could see Paul's brain.
Did you see that where he said they did him so wrong? But the detective heard him say, I did him so wrong.
Yes. And
I heard they.
Like both.
I heard they
too. But if I really concentrate and listen, I can see where they can come up with that. I think that maybe is a little
I don't think they shouldn't have. I don't think that should have been part of their evidence because that's just like, what is that, hearsay or something?
Yeah.
Like, or not hearsay, but like, you just.
It's like
just because you think you hear it doesn't mean that's what he said.
It's like the dress.
Yeah.
Like the blue gold dress.
Yes. It is black and blue, but I will fight to the death that it is black and blue.
It is
okay,
black and
thank
blue.
God, or we're not going to be friends anymore.
I never saw it
I've
be
never
gold
seen
and
white. Never. I remember when that like popped off.
Was that made up? Like, were people just saying that to be different?
No, I had friends that were like, I don't see how you see black and blue. I don't get it. I can understand like gray if you squint your eyes a little bit and turn your head, but I don't see white and gold.
I don't either. It's just plain as day, black and blue.
Yeah.
Okay, we've kind of gone.
But that's not evidence. Like just because I say it's
doesn't make
blue
it
and black does not make it fact. Yeah.
Correct.
I don't think they should have brought that up in the test in the trial.
I don't either.
I don't think that's right. But
I do not either.
I'm not an attorney or a defense attorney or it wasn't the defense, it was the prosecutor.
So 3 days after Alec finds his son and wife dead, his father passes. He had cancer, to my understanding. He had a lot of health problems. So he passes. And then on the 14th, so a week later, the coroner report comes out. Maggie and Paul had multiple gunshot wounds, and the time of death was estimated between 9 and 9:30 p.m., which kind of makes sense. The call from Alec to 911
was at 10:07.
It happens at 10:07, which that about adds up, I would think. Right?
Yeah, I saw some reports that said that it could be anywhere between 8:50 and 9:30, but they're shooting towards more 8:50.
Oh, really?
Because when their phone's locked and they never reopened their phone and people were texting and calling them and their phones were never touched again.
Oh, wow.
I think it was like 8:52 or something like that is when the phones just stopped being used because they can tell when you unlock your phone now.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, it said that their phone it was locked and had not been unlocked since then.
You know what I have been struggling with thinking about, and this is still on the page of Alec finding them dead. What's so hard for me to kind of conceptualize is if Alec did it, which he was found guilty, but if he did it, Paul and Maggie were positioned right next to each other. I don't think that they
weren't
touched.
right next to each other. I mean, they were a good like 15 feet from each other.
Were they?
Yeah, because they think what happened was Paul got shot first. Maggie saw it.
Tried to run.
I don't know if she was running away or towards Paul. I don't know. I want to say away. And she was trying to run away and she got shot.
Oh my gosh.
So they weren't like right next to each other because he was almost in a room and she was like on the outskirts of the other building.
Okay.
Like, because I saw like a dead, like where the bodies were laying, and they're not by each other, but you could see each body.
I just saw the blurred out pictures of like
maybe they were like blurring out like the brain
or something. Oh,
it's not funny, but
probably.
I mean, they might have been, but from what I saw today on that 2020 thing, they looked kind of far.
I need to watch that 2020 episode because I have
I
not
could be
seen
100% wrong though.
I definitely am.
I think I'm just making.
We're just chatting, you guys. We're just talking. That's been hard for me to kind of picture.
Mm-hmm.
Was who was shot first, because that was a detail that I didn't know.
They said that they think Paul was, because they said that it looked as if Maggie was running. I don't know if she was running towards him, like, or away. I'm not sure.
But why would Alec want to kill Paul?
I don't know. And I think so. Another reason why they think, I don't know if I'm making this part up again, but I want to say Paul was shot with a shotgun.
They were shot with 2 different guns.
Yes. So I think it was to make it like 2 different people.
Yes.
But Paul was shot with a shotgun, which is a close range. You don't just shoot.
They were, and to clarify, they were both shot at close range.
Yes.
But with 2 different guns.
But Maggie was shot with an AR-15 or whatever. It was called like a 300 blackout or something.
It was an AR type of gun.
Yes. So she could have been a little bit farther away.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The whole thing's just a little... doesn't make sense to me.
No.
It doesn't make it would. I can see where like it could be 2 people though.
The only other person that I could think it maybe Alec talked into getting involved would be his drug dealer,
Eddie.
I
think that was his name.
Yes, the one that he was also in an incident with after this whole debacle,
which we'll get to that too.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't know. I've really been struggling with a motive. I mean, other than the financial stuff, but gosh.
So after June 14th, the financial stuff starts to hit the fan. A statement gets released and all that stuff. And then September 4th is what we're about to talk about with Eddie, is that Alec Murdaugh makes another call, a 911 phone call to obviously 911 and says, hey, I was changing a flat tire. Someone stopped to help me and they tried to kill me. They shot me.
Yeah.
And he was like, and they were like, okay, they don't know. I don't think the dispatcher knew what the hell to do, because they were just like, okay.
Yeah.
So then we forgot to talk about a whole other thing.
Oh gosh.
I just thought about that. Stephen Smith.
Oh no.
He should have been number 1, Uno. But it's okay. We'll go back to that.
We'll
because at the end, we have an update on him.
Yes.
But anyway, so Alec Murdaugh gets shot in the head, but it's a superficial wound.
Yeah. I mean, it like
grazed him.
Yes, yeah. Grazes.
So he's fine pretty much, but he can't drive. So then he has to get, was he med flighted?
He was, to Savannah, Georgia.
Okay. And then, come to find out, he comes out with a statement
the very next day,
saying that he's resigning from his family's law firm, made lots of decisions I truly regret, what he says. And then he says that. So he comes out and says, I made a few decisions I regret. And then the law firm came out with their own statement, was like, nay, that's not all you did.
Yep.
We're going to dive into it. And then they put out a statement with all the details.
Basically saying that he misappropriated funds.
Yeah.
Yes. So after his law firm kind of cuts ties with him for that, on the 8th, so just 2 days later, South Carolina Supreme Court disbars Alec. So he is no longer allowed to practice law, period. So now things are really falling apart in his life. Well, I mean, a statement comes out from your family's law firm cutting ties with you because you've been misappropriating funds, stealing this money. Yeah, he needs to be disbarred. So he was.
And then on the 14th, it comes out that Murdaugh, Alec, arranged the shooting.
Yes.
So he paid, what was it, like $10,000 or something? $6,000? 20,000,
like
something like that. I know that he deposited 2 checks under 9,000, or it was under 10,000, but it was like 9,000 something. And then a couple days later, Eddie deposited like a $23,000 check or some change or something like that. And so he was paid some, but yeah, he gets arrested. Eddie gets arrested, and so does Alec for conspiracy to commit insurance fraud.
Yes, because what he was trying to do was, he really was trying, I believe, trying to get Eddie to kill him so that Buster, his still alive son, could collect this life insurance policy, which was $10 million. But it doesn't happen that way. And what I think is funny is that Eddie, who also is his drug dealer, comes out and says after they've been arrested, if he would have told me about this or something, he would not still be alive. I can tell you that much. So I thought that was kind of funny because he's like saying that there was no
arrangement,
conspiracy.
Yeah. But then who shot him?
I mean, it was Eddie.
Yeah.
It was Eddie.
Eddie's just a drug. And then we find out that they've been like dealing drugs like for the last decade out of other counties.
There's like every time something comes out about this case, it's like a huge twist. It's just like more and more and more keeps getting added on, that Alec is like living this double life, or he's like stealing money, and like,
that's why it's called the Southern Scandal.
I know.
Northern Southern, but
what a good title.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, they do both get arrested. And then Alec's attorney, Richard Harpootlian.
Don't give me, I don't know.
Something like that. Richard
Harpootlian
goes on the Today Show, or he tells NBC that Alec was depressed. He was trying to get off of this opioid addiction, but believed his insurance policy had a suicide clause.
He was taking like 60 pills a day,
which is insane.
Yeah. I take 5, and I think that's insane.
And look, his face is
not
so
opiates.
scary.
I just want to clarify, it's not drugs.
Not
but like I take, or whatever it's called, I take normal prescribed drugs.
Everybody,
5 a day.
They are prescription.
Yes. But 60 pills? That's insane. That's insanity. No wonder he's sweating all the time. How he was.
That's what I'm saying.
So, like, I'm not saying he's fat. I'm not fat shaming anybody, but he was a bigger guy.
Yeah.
After he gets arrested, he lost a bunch of weight.
A ton of weight.
But, like, I always thought drugs made you skinnier. I know, like, meth and stuff does, obviously. But, like, I would think pills, too, because I would think it would suppress your appetite.
Unless it did the opposite.
Yeah, you're right.
But he's also a Southern man.
Yeah.
So he's probably
eating the mashed potatoes.
Fried chicken.
Them oysters.
Not the oyster roast.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I doubt they're eating them crawfish because they ain't the South.
That's the North, y'all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, yeah, his attorney comes out and says that, you know, he was plotting suicide, but it doesn't work.
What I think is crazy, he was released on bond and didn't have to pay anything.
I know.
They just let him go.
I know. Well, you know, the hearing that they were supposed to have, where he was going to show that he did not have the funds to pay back the family for Gloria, that hearing never happened because his son and his wife died. So there again is a distraction.
It's got to be him. I mean, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm like, all these things keep coming out.
We were talking about, right before we started recording, I was saying that it just looks so convincing. Like when he's in these videos and he's talking to like SLED and these police officers. But then Ashley made a good point. She was like, he's an attorney.
That's like their job, is to get up there and act.
Practice down to the T.
And how they tell their, like, because that's before you go into a trial or like before you testify, they coach you pretty much to how to act, how to respond, how to, what
Their
not to
body
say.
Language, yes.
And so, of course he knows.
He's putting that into practice.
He knows.
Practicing law for
since
years.
Like the 80s or something?
Yeah.
70s, 80s?
80s, I think. But, and then what's funny is so when he's in jail, He makes many calls with Buster kind of back and forth to, check in on things, and they're all recorded. But there's one.
Those recordings.
You guys got to listen to them. He asks Buster, are they putting out a Netflix special about this?
Yes. Which tells me they're probably going to come out with more episodes.
Yeah.
But did you see the gambling one?
Where
Where Buster was
literally
gambling.
went to Las Vegas while his dad is sitting in prison.
And his dad's like, maybe you should wear a hat and sunglasses next time. And I'm like,
just the conversation is so casual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just so casual. And I'm like, I'd be pooping my pants.
And Buster's so like,
he just seems so unaffected. Like,
yeah, he just one-worded answers.
Yes.
But he sounds like a spoiled brat. That's what
I couldn't tell if it was like he was scared because he knew the calls were recorded and he was kind of scared about maybe like what his dad would say or like how he's supposed to react. Mm-hmm. That's how I kind of felt about it. But then I was like, he just seems so unbothered. Mm-hmm. So I can't make my mind up on that.
So then the judge makes him go to rehab, Alec. He has to go to rehab. Mm-hmm. And he gets released on October 14th and is arrested in Florida upon his release from the drug facility. They charged him with 2 felony counts of obtaining property by false pretenses after investigation into millions of dollars and went missing. So they arrested him for the law firm stuff.
Yes.
And then October 19th, they deny his bond and has to undergo a psychiatric evaluation.
Which is the best thing that judge could have done, denying his bond, because look at how much money he's got to his name.
Yeah. Well, they say he's in crazy debt. Like every property that he owns, he has a loan on it. None of it's paid for. Like those little dirt bike thingies he has. What are they called? Not a 4-wheeler, but
I know what you're talking about. I bet some people are listening to this and screaming the answer right now.
What is that thing called? Oh my God, it's going to bother me. Not a doom buggy.
I'm looking it up.
No, it's not an ATV. It's why can't we think of this?
Vehicles.
I don't own one.
Similar
to 4-wheeler. People are like, yeah, they're from the South. 4-wheeler. Have you tried a 3-wheeler? We had one growing up. Off-road, off-side, off. I'm about to yell for my husband and ask him. Because his buddies have some. Oh my God.
This is really bothering me. Why is the answer not so readily available? It's not a 4-wheeler because it's like smaller than a 4-wheeler.
No, I think we're thinking of 2 different things.
Oh, are we?
I'm thinking of that 4-seater thing. It looks like a truck, but it's an outdoor like
a golf cart?
Hold, please.
Ask James.
I'm asking him right now. Okay, and we're back. It's a side-by-side. I had to go ask my husband.
I had to do a little trivia there.
Side-by-side, it's like something. Anyway, he owned a bunch of those and they were not paid off and stuff like that. So, and those are expensive. An
example of living above your means.
Mm-hmm. They don't know how he was making it. So what he was doing was he was like, his loans and stuff were falling behind. Mm-hmm. He would steal a couple million from the law firm, pay off all that stuff, and he'd be back at zero. Yep. And then start all over again. He was living like... Sorry, my phone just went off.
This was my question. Because don't they have a bookkeeper? You know what I mean? Like, how did the law firm not notice? And maybe it was just a couple grand at a time. But I feel like if I was this giant family law firm that has got such a reputation to my name, why would they not have a bookkeeper that's checking on these funds? Because this was going on for a while. It had to have
10 years.
Oh my gosh.
He said in his testimony or his trial or whatever, they said it was a good 10 years.
This is so crazy to me.
But
this whole case is just bewilders me.
So let's go back to the murders because the only evidence they have or had because in an interview, his like 3rd interview, they were like, look, we have no other suspects but you.
Yeah.
You're the only one who was there. whatever. They did not have the video yet. It was a
The
year
Snapchat
later.
Video. Yes.
It was a year later.
They find this Snapchat video. Well, they don't find it. It's presented to them. This Snapchat video of... Did Paul take the video on his Snapchat?
It wasn't a Snapchat video.
Oh, it wasn't?
He was, okay, so his best friend
Oh, yes. He was watching his dog.
was watching his dog.
Yes.
And something was wrong with the dog's tail. So he was videoing the tail to then send it to his friend.
so that he could kind of keep tabs on the dog.
Yes, and he never sent it.
And this was the night of the murder, by the way.
Yes, this is when they were at the dog kennels, and
Yes.
Alex said he was not there.
Mhm. He was
So-
at his mom's house.
A year later, they finally unlocked Paul's phone. It took the officers a year to get that phone unlocked.
That is wild.
And yeah, it's just insane. It took a year. And so they unlock it. And sure enough, this video pops up of Maggie in the background talking to Alec. And you
And
can hear Alec.
You can hear both of their voices clear as day.
Yes. And he has a distinct, is that the right
Voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like his accent is
It's very recognizable.
Yes.
What was the timestamp on this video? Do we know?
It was like 8.
It was dark out. I mean, you can see in the video it's
I wonder
dark
if I
out.
have it written down.
Let's see. But you can hear Alec and Maggie talking in the back. And so, of course, they're going to be like, well, we thought that you weren't home. We thought that you were at your mom's house. And of course, are they going to... His mother, not to sound ugly, but like his mother has Alzheimer's. You know what I mean? So that's not like a super reliable alibi for him to be gone. Because it's not like they can go question her. Let me see. Do we want to pause it here so we can find the timestamp?
Yeah.
Okay.
BRB, guys. Okay, we figured out the time.
So prosecutors found the video on Paul's phone once they finally got it unlocked. And the video was recorded at 8:44 p.m.
And I lied earlier when I said it was 8:52 that their phones were locked. They were locked at 8:49 and not reopened.
5-minute difference between the video that Paul took of Gibson, that's his friend, Gibson's dog, and when their phones locked for the last time.
Yeah, and people were calling and texting them.
Yes.
He had text messages and stuff like that. So, and you're telling me like a guy who Snapchats a million times a day, because he does, because they scrolled through a Snapchat on one of the docs, and
That's all it was.
he just didn't check his phone. I check
Absolutely
my phone
not.
all the time.
Absolutely not. So they get Gibson, which is Paul's friend, who was his dog. Paul gets up on the stand and he identifies the voices in the video as Maggie and as Alec.
They had 3 witnesses come up and identify the voice on the stand.
Again, if you guys have seen videos, if you've like seen this on the news, if you've seen clips, Alec has a very
I wonder if I can play it.
distinct
It's
voice.
not like, but that's the main evidence.
Here, I got the video pulled up. I'm going to put I guess we can clip it again here. We got some editing to do tonight. And then I can probably put it up next to the...
Okay, try it. You can't hear it, but...
All your work.
We're leaving that in.
Remarkable.
Here, I have it pulled up
Oh.
on TMZ.
Oh, wait.
Oh, you got it?
Tonight, Alec Murdaugh's alibi potentially destroyed by his son's own video.
Get back. Get back.
Prosecutors revealing a 58-second cell phone video recorded by Paul Murdaugh directly contradicting Alec Murdaugh's story, placing him at the murder scene minutes before his wife and son were shot to death. In the video, you can see Paul going into a pen on the family's property to check on a friend's dog. In the background, you hear other voices. Hey, that bird is now!
Hey, Bubba.
It's a guinea!
This is a chicken.
Murdaugh claimed he didn't go.
That is 100% his voice.
Until he
That was him. Because, I mean, even if all you watch are the videos of him talking to Sled, like after the murders,
Mm-hmm.
you can hear when he's got that emotion in his voice, and just like right there where he was yelling for the dog, same person,
Yeah.
without a doubt, without a question in my mind, that was Alec.
Yes. That's the main evidence. When the jury came out and said, because it only took them 3 hours to deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 people that said not guilty, 1 person that was iffy, and then the rest were, the other 9, I think,
Guilty.
were guilty.
They'd also found the t-shirt and shorts that Alec was wearing after he changed that night.
Mm-hmm.
They had seen on the shirt that there were like some mud or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that had he been the one behind the gun, not the ballistics, but like the way that the mud would have shot back
Mm-hmm.
places him right there.
Mm-hmm. And now the defense came back and said that the reason why he is not, they didn't go by, sorry, my brother and my niece are texting me. So I'm like, what? She's in the other room. So who knows what she needs. But the defense argued that because he did have gunshot residue, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And they argued was because he went inside when he called 911. He went inside and grabbed a gun for safety, just in case there was people still there that was doing the shooting. And that's how he got the residue on him, was because he touched another gun. And he shoots, they had 25 guns.
They had a lot of guns, not to mention that the gun that had shot
Both of them.
yes, were missing.
Mm-hmm. Out of his collection, they were missing.
So, I mean, just all this evidence.
There was a TikTok of a guy who flew his drone over Alex's
Yes.
house. Was it a TikTok? It might have been in a doc, but
It was in the Netflix docuseries.
oh, okay. And so he flew the drone and he thought his house was being searched.
Yes.
But it wasn't. It was Alec and them unloading guns.
Sled was not even there.
No,
It was them taking guns out of the house and loading them into a truck.
insane.
Which, you guys,
Evidence.
thank goodness that guy was there and took that drone video, which I mean,
I don't think it was brought up in trial though.
it's illegal to do because he was on private property.
Oh, is it?
Flying a drone.
I think it's
Yeah,
different in every
sure.
state.
Oh, well, I would
I don't
assume so.
know. Because like in some states you can't record like the opposite party without them knowing, but in
Yeah.
some states you can. So I wonder if that like
maybe.
we'll have to
Still,
look
thank
up the
goodness he's
laws.
there and that video exists.
Mhm.
You know,
I think that's crazy. You can't film in the sky.
that is really weird, isn't it?
I mean, I get it's private property. Like I wouldn't want somebody flying a drone over my house if I'm like sunbathing in the back, but
yeah.
still, I don't own the sky. Even though you can buy property now, like have you seen that where you can buy property like
What?
in an not an alternative universe, but
Like in
like the Earth is on
Pieces
your
of the
computer. No, like the Earth is on your computer, and you can buy spaces in the air.
oh, people
And
are
yeah,
ridiculous.
Yes, something like that.
People will buy anything.
Yeah,
Pieces of the air.
like the area above your house, I own.
They just got a grid.
I should know more about this. I took a real estate class, and there's something about like look, I took like 3 weekends in a row of it, real estate, 300 hours or something like that. It was probably like 72 hours, but
Ashley P. Aerospace Realtor.
it wasn't about that. It was about like
know.
it was not the air, but like you own your property and above it. So like you can build 6 stories because you own that like you own up high. Does that make sense?
Okay, here's my question though. How would somebody build over top your house without touching your
I'm
property?
not saying that. I'm saying you could build like
I think
6 stories up on your house because you own the air above it.
would they have to own the air above it to build on top of their property?
I sound so stupid right now,
No.
but I'm being serious. I don't know.
That's going to be episode 4.
Yeah, I'll research it. How to own air above your property.
You can own air? Question mark?
Yeah. Bottle it up and, oh God, that's
Sell
just
it.
another tangent that I want to go on, but
Oh, geez. Okay.
never mind.
Anyway. So yeah, that Snapchat video gets played in court.
Mm-hmm.
And Gibson, which is, again, the friend of Paul, identifies that is Alec's voice without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that for me just kind of puts the nail in the coffin. So then
That's
of
what the jury
course,
said. They said
the
that
jury
that's what-
said guilty,
Mm-hmm.
which is what he is founded. And that's kind of where we're at in the case,
Mm-hmm.
is he's found guilty. Gloria's body, the maid, the
Yeah.
housekeeper,
Yes.
she, to my knowledge, has still not been exhumed.
Not yet.
Because they never thought that there was foul play involved. They did not do an autopsy. So
They said it was all natural causes.
yeah.
And so then the coroner now in today's time went over the paperwork and she's like, no, that's not right. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
So they're going to exhume her and
Kind of see if they can get some more.
yeah. So like, let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Why I don't like Buster, or the
Okay.
reason why I'm iffy about Buster. So the first murder in 2015 was a kid named, so it's not a murder yet. Well, okay. So Stephen Smith was found, a boy was found in the road. A car driving by saw him and he was laying in the road dead.
Mm-hmm.
They called 911. They called 911 and the police came out or whatever. And they said they ruled it as a hit and run. He was hit, like he ran out of gas and he was walking and somebody hit him. And then they ruled it as that.
Yeah.
Rumor around the town was that Buster was in a secret relationship with Steven. And it was very unheard. We're in the South. I mean, iffy if they're in the South, but it's frowned upon,
Yes.
unfortunately. Sadly, it is.
Yes.
I hate it, but it is. And
That would not bode well for Buster and his family. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's so sad that that's even a thing, but it is for that
Southern
in 2015 for sure it
prominent
was.
people, yes.
And so everyone was like, Buster and him had a secret relationship and he was going to he wanted to come out and tell everybody.
Yes.
And Buster wanted to shut him up. So then this wasn't multiple people. So Steven was texting somebody or was on the phone with somebody and said, I think someone's following me. And then his friend was like, okay, well, don't just go walking around. And then they said that he called Buster, say, hey, I'm out of gas. Can you come help me?
Yeah.
And
because Buster had been
in the vicinity. Is that what you're saying?
And wasn't Steven was tutoring him.
Yes.
And so that's how they do have ties to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship is speculation, I think is true.
Yeah.
But they do have ties to one another. So I just wanted to put that out there too.
Yes. So apparently the rumor has it is that Steven called Buster and was like, hey, I ran out of gas. Can you come help me?
Mm-hmm.
And Buster showed up with like 2 other guys.
Yeah.
And then they beat the crap out of him.
And of course, Buster's not going to do anything because that would be the end all be all if
Mm-hmm.
Steven had come out and said, we're in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, that blows my mind. And here's another thing with the police. I don't know if it was SLED. I don't know if it was county. I don't know if it was city. I don't know what department it was,
Right.
but it's a hit and run. You get hit by a car. The first thing that happens is your shoes fall off every single time. Like it's a known fact. Like you could Google it and it's a fact. Your shoes come off. No matter how tight they are, they fly off your feet. His shoes are intact. His clothes are intact. He was laying dead center of the middle of the road, like on the line.
Which there's no way that would have happened.
No, your body would go flying.
Yes.
There's a YouTuber that I watched that got hit by a car.
Oh my gosh.
And there's not footage of it, but they said the first thing that happened was our shoes flew off and we went flying. Like you just don't, they were fine. Obviously they broke like her pelvis and stuff,
Gosh.
but you go flying.
That
you just don't get
force
hit
is not
and
gonna-
lay flat on the ground.
Yes, he was placed. He was
So-
definitely placed there.
It makes no sense that they ruled it as a hit and run. That was sloppy police work. And
Yep.
it was just,
They didn't want to take the time
no.
to investigate.
And
That's so unfortunate for Steven.
so then Steven's family hired a private investigator. And
good
then,
on them.
And the investigator was like, I've interviewed multiple people and every single one, Buster's name comes up.
Yep.
Every single one.
Yep.
And in old records, it comes up and it's just, so anyway, Steven, they announced on, what day was that on? Like a couple days ago? Like just a couple days ago.
Yeah,
No,
this was recent.
when I texted you on, when was I drunk texting you? It was either Tuesday or Wednesday night. It was Tuesday because I went and had prime rib. So
Ooh.
I didn't eat that. James had prime rib. I ate a club sandwich, but
Mm.
we went to the casino. After the casino, I was like doing my research while I was drinking. And
Yes.
I saw 52 minutes ago, it said they announced that they're exhuming his body and it's ruled as a homicide.
Which is so good because Alec and the Murdaughs aside, Stephen's family needs those answers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
They deserve it.
His friends, his family, they need that justice and those answers. And B, for this case, they definitely need the answers because Buster was involved with Stephen to
and that was brought up in the prison phone calls too. Buster brought up that Stephen, there's the rumors are still going around and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they talked about it. I don't remember the word for word of it, but they did bring it up in the.
Why would they bring that up?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Buster.
Yeah. Buster boy.
I was about to say. Never mind. No. But yeah, so there was Stephen, Gloria, Mallory, Paul, and Maggie, all tied to the Murdaughs.
Yep.
And it's just.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly.
For a small town.
Yes.
It's bonkers.
And just think every single time something has come out related to this case, it, like we said earlier, it's been such a twist. New things are added to this case and this story all the time. So that's kind of where we're presently at. Alec's been found guilty. Now we await Gloria to be exhumed and Stephen to be exhumed. So
I'm trying to look through my stuff.
Let's see if there's anything else we should
Yes,
add.
it says in the jailhouse calls talking about Gloria, Stephen, and Sled.
Okay.
Just going over my notes, make sure I don't forget something. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think it's just been a wild ride.
I think that if...
Oh yeah, the 21st. Law firm presenting Stephen Smith's mother says investigators have ruled the mysterious 2015 death as a homicide.
I think that once we get more updates on this case, like hopefully them exhuming Gloria and Stephen, and that will provide more answers one way or the other.
See, I don't know if they did an autopsy. I don't know if they're going to exhume Stephen. I don't know if they did an autopsy. I assume they did because it was a hit and run. Or a hit in quotes.
Hit and run.
Yeah. But
I think that's something that they're going to investigate further.
Yes.
They need to anyway. Yeah.
If it was my kid.
That's what I'm saying. But definitely once they exhume Gloria and more details, because more details will come out.
Mm-hmm. But who are they going to charge, Maggie? They can't.
I don't know.
The only person left to arrest is Buster, because it's almost pointless to charge Alec.
I'm sorry.
That's how we spell his name. It's so stupid.
What is the point of the X?
I don't get it. Hey, we're Ashley and Haley and people spell it funky.
That's because there's like 14 billion ways. There's one way to spell Alec.
Yeah.
And it isn't with an X.
Alec. But like, people are weird.
Anyway, this case, you guys, it
was wild.
It was wild. I mean, it was all over the news too. So it's been widely covered. But as more details come out, which I'm sure they will, we'll definitely have to make a second parter.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else you want to add?
He was charged with life.
He was charged with life without the possibility of parole. And
he has not been fully convicted yet of his 100 financial crimes. I just read that.
Yeah, I put that in my notes.
So he has not been charged yet. I mean, he's been charged, but he hasn't been convicted. So he's going to get more time once he's convicted.
But I mean, what's
the point?
He's going to get like 450 years
I thought that I was like, what's the point? But then again, say like, I want to say, I don't remember where I saw this, but there was a case out there where the jury ended up, so you can't be a felon and be on the jury or juror or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there was a case recently that got overturned that's getting retried because they found out one of the jury members were
a felon.
Oh,
wow.
So unless something like that happens where it gets completely, like they find out something, like it was messed with or
Not
anything like
tampered
that,
with, but just like something that
then he's not off. They'll retry him, but he's off the hook. Then he's going to be out of jail. But if he gets charged with these other things, he's going to be in jail for those
back in.
things.
That's 100 financial crimes.
Yeah, so it's probably good that he will be charged, just in case, God forbid, they do find out he didn't kill his family. He's still going to be in jail no matter what, because he's going to have those years.
Yeah. This is...
I hope at the end of the day, this is my hope. I hope that at the end of the day, we find out it was not him. Like, for his... So I mean, he's trash, but no one... Like,
he did.
I always have that.
All of these financial crimes,
but that's not like
terrible. But if he didn't kill his family, can you imagine?
Anybody that's convicted of murder to life, it stresses me out because I'm like, what if they didn't do it? We're not, unless they come out and say I did it.
Yeah.
Then I'm always in the back of my head. I'm like, what if it's not them?
Yeah.
Like, what if it wasn't?
There's absolutely nothing they can do at that point.
Yeah. But the video, like you said, nail in the coffin.
To me, it was. Why would he lie about?
Yeah.
Not being there.
And he came on the stand and he was like, yeah, I lied. And I just kept lying. But I did not kill my family. What
information does he have? You know what I mean? If he's not, he's already been found guilty. If he's not going to come out and say that he killed his family, what information does he have?
I was thinking about that today. I wish there was like a pill. Like, say you're on your deathbed.
Yeah. They
should be allowed to give you this pill that makes you tell the truth. Like all these killers that are saying that they're
years of crimes and
yes, and I feel like everybody before they die should have to take this pill or like do a fingerprint, and they have to run the fingerprint for every person that dies or something like that. Because like I was watching a documentary. This is off. We're almost done, but I watched a 2020 episode on those Girl Scout murders. Have you seen those?
I've not watched any of the
from like 1977.
No,
it was 3 Girl Scouts were molested. And
oh my god,
they were at Girl Scout camp, and 3 of them were molested. And it's not funny, but they were they were murdered. They were beaten to death. 3 little girls, 8, 9, and 10.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was horrible. And so I was watching it today, and they still haven't found who did it, but they have a fingerprint. So if every person that died, I don't care if it's a car accident, I don't care if a finger got chopped off,
just take their
fingerprint and run it.
Is that,
or put their DNA in the DNA ancestry thing or something?
Do they? I mean, I feel like that makes a lot of sense.
I think they do the fingerprint thing, but I don't know if they run it. Do they do that? The coroners out there, let us know.
Please. We'd love to have a coroner on as a guest.
Yes, please hit us up.
Anybody knows any local coroners?
My husband probably, but that'd be weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's it. I just wish that they would run fingerprints. They might do that. Watch them do it, and we just don't know.
We're going to do our research. I feel like
cases would be solved quicker if they ran their DNA through CODIS or whatever. Is that a real thing, or is that a TV thing? You know what I'm talking about?
It sounds real.
Yeah. So if they ran it through that, like everyone spit through that when they die or whatever,
then we'd get a lot more solved mysteries.
Yes. All these killers out there.
Maybe we should patent that.
Patent it?
Yeah.
How would we patent that? Would we just be like, hey, yo. Oh, okay. You hear it now. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
Nobody take our idea.
Yeah. As it's a thing.
Yeah.
We'll research that and get back to you next episode.
It. Yeah. We'll have to do some kind of fact check, you guys, because we try to do some research, but
this is just us sitting down talking about it. Because here's the thing, me and her don't talk about it really before we do this.
No, because
we just make our own notes and then we go off each other. So,
I think it works.
I think it does too. I find this entertaining.
Me too.
So haters are gonna hate.
That's the whole point of this thing anyway.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks. I know that was kind of a heavy.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that I laughed at things that I probably shouldn't have laughed at.
No, it's just nervous laughter.
Yes. I feel very uncomfortable. Sometimes. And then I just start laughing.
Topics.
Yeah. Not so much I was uncomfortable with this. Like the other day we had something happen that was kind of uncomfortable. And my first reaction was die laughing. And I was just like, this was very inappropriate.
No, I think that's a very common, maybe, I don't know if defense mechanism is the right word.
Yeah.
But like it's just
I know what you mean.
Nervous laughter.
Yeah. I do it all the time.
Makes sense.
I need to work on that with my therapist.
You got it. You guys, thank you for listening to this episode. We really, really enjoyed. We were excited to talk about this one. So thanks for listening. We really, really appreciate it.
Till next time.
Till next time. We'll see you next week.
What the?
On what the?
People are probably like, where do they get the what the?
You guys get it. What the heck?